Hey, Grant. This is Rick Bennell, the Charlotte Observer. Obviously, you're coming into a situation in Charlotte that has an abundance of guards right now. Um, Mitch and JB have had a lot of success the last couple of years rooting people to Greensboro for development. Wondered how much, to what extent that has been discussed with you, and what you think about the idea that, there's probably a real good chance you'd spend a lot of your season next season in Greensboro.
Yeah, well, I've talked about that with them throughout this whole process, and that was something that I was always for. I felt like it's an opportunity to kind of prove myself and show that I belong in an NBA atmosphere, and I know it could only help me. So that's not an issue moving forward, and definitely something that we've had talks before in the past.
Could you describe your skill set to us a little bit? I have seen you in some places described as a primary point guard, but I've also seen you described as somebody who plays some off the ball as well.
Yeah, well, I'm a true combo guard. Been a combo guard my entire career. I'm a guy that can score on all three levels, can create for herself or at the same time can create for others. Likes to play out the pick and roll, but at the same time is super comfortable playing off ball with other talented guards as well.
Thanks.
Let's go to Richie next.
Hey, Grant. This is Richie from the BuzzBeat podcast. We've actually had you on the pod before as a guest. When we were on the pod together, we've had conversations about your first step, your elite finishing at the rim. And you kind of answered this with Rick's question, but outside of the obvious with the finishing at the rim, what is one underrated skill that you think will translate over to the NBA?
I think just being able to play the right way and to play with other good players. I'm a guy that is growing up, have played with tons of good players, not to this level, but with other good players, have been a guy that has been placed in a role before. So I feel like I know how to do a lot with less. And I think that's the biggest thing, just being able to play within a system, do a lot more with less than I have in the past. I think it's something that I didn't really get to showcase too much in college because I had a lot on my plate. But moving forward, that's something that I think that will catch a lot of people by surprise.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sam Perley, go ahead.
Hey, Grant, Sam Perley with Hornets.com. Congratulations. You've kind of talked a little bit about how you play and your fit. What was just kind of your general reaction to getting drafted? And then I know you're from Florida, but you're playing relatively close to where you played college ball at the College of Charleston. Yeah,
well, it was crazy to kind of get that call, especially after the path I had to take to get here. It's super hard to put into words just because it's such a surreal feeling, but I'm super familiar with Charlotte. I'm from Orlando, so it's not too far from there. But I went to school in Charleston, South Carolina, probably about 3 hours away. So I spent a lot of time in Charlotte. Tons of my teammates in the past are from Charlotte. So I'm super familiar with the area and definitely feel good about it.
I know you played with Joe Chealy. Just following up real quick, you played with Joe Chealy, who's been with the organization the last couple of years and has gone to the Greensboro route. Has he reached out to you? Have you talked to him about, what it's like here or followed his progress at all?
Yeah, I talk to Joe all the time. That's somebody that I look to as a brother. We're both from Orlando and both went to the same school. So I've talked to him about it even before yesterday and before I knew I was coming to the organization. He's told me nothing but good things. He's mentored me on how to be a pro and stuff like that. So overall, I'm just excited and happy to be with an organization that is really good and an organization I've heard nothing but good things about.
Awesome. Thank you. Congrats again.
Matt Rachinsky.
Grant, welcome to the team. Matt Rachinsky from Hornets.com as well. One thing I love about doing all these interviews as we go through this over the course of these days is the smile we see on your guys' faces.
It's crazy.
Is this all sunk in yet, man? You've been drafted in the NBA. You're coming to play for the hometown team. This is like a dream come true for most people.
Yeah, it is, and I'm super blessed and fortunate to be in this situation. It's definitely something I would never take for granted. I don't think I've ever gotten a smile off my face since last night, but I know it's a long road ahead. Obviously, the work doesn't stop now; it only begins. So I'm glad I was able to enjoy that and kind of soak that in with the people who's been in my corner since day one last night. But I know the real work starts now, and I'm just kind of excited to get my foot through the door and help as much as I can.
We're excited to work with you, man. Welcome to the
Thank
team.
you. Yes, sir.
Danny Thompson, go ahead.
Grant, Danny Thompson with a three-point conversion. Once again, welcome to Charlotte. I used to live in Orlando, so I followed you play through high school. So I'm familiar with your game. But for the people who are not familiar with your game, what are some of the things that the fans should look forward to seeing when you step on the court?
I think the biggest thing I'll say is just a guard that puts a lot of pressure on the defense. A guard that likes to play fast. A guard that likes to play in transition and really get downhill. Like I said earlier, a guard that's good in the pick and roll, but at the same time could play off the ball and have some success there. So overall, I feel like I'm just a exciting type of player. I'm a guy that is going to bring hard work and excitement to the team, and that's something I'm looking to try to do.
And to follow up to that, I know you've had a lot of downtime between the end of last season and currently right now. So what are some of the players that you studied or some of the players that your game resembles the most in the league or past or present?
Well, I've studied a lot of guys over this time, but I think two I've studied the most is probably C.J. McCollum and Dennis Schroeder. Those are two guys I look at and see a lot of similarities just on the fact that they're both combo guards, can play with other guards, whether they're on the ball or off the ball. Kind of undersized for the two, but still make it work there. Guys that are really talented at creating for themselves, getting their own shots, but at the same time can run an offense and make all the right plays.
Rick, let's go back to you real quick.
Hey, I was curious if you knew prior to last night that you were at all on the Hornets' radar. And I asked that in part because Mitch mentioned last night that you were higher on their board than being picked 56 would suggest.
Yeah, well, I feel like I've had good communication with the Hornets organization. I've interviewed with them twice before all this happened, so I kind of felt comfortable about it. Obviously, you don't really know up until the decision last night just because that's how it plays out. But I definitely feel like I've built some relationships with some of the people in the organization and definitely got to get to know them, and I think they got to know me as well.
Thanks.
We'll do Sweisberg?
Yeah, it's Scott. Sorry, it's the
Okay.
Grant's Scott down in Charleston. How's it going, man? Good. Forgive me if this was – I got booted off the system for a second and then back on, so forgive me if it was asked. But to kind of team back up with Joe Cheely from, Ocoee and Apopka to the College of Charleston to now the Hornets, like to have that whole progression with Joe, what's that like?
It's another situation you can't really put into words. It's kind of just God's work in a sense. Joe has been somebody I turn to when I need advice. Or any kind of motivation. Is somebody I turn to for the past probably 6 years of my life. So he has been a big inspiration to me. And moving forward, I know he'll do that as well. I'm just happy to see him again and know I can learn a lot from him.
With that being said, I mean, in essence, you guys are kind of competing against each other. Does that change the relationship at all, that you guys are in essence competing for an NBA roster spot?
I don't think it changes. I think that's just kind of who we are. We're competitive players by nature. Obviously, we're brothers and stuff off the floor and stuff like that. But even playing at College of Charleston, me coming in, it was kind of like the same situation in the sense where I'm a new guard and kind of got to compete against one of the other guards there. So I know that won't be an issue, and I expect Joe to go at me just like I'll go at him.
Awesome. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, I have one more if possible. Yeah, Grant,
Yeah.
just what was the conversation with Earl like last night? Or Jay, I don't know if JD or Earl or whoever called you last night. What were those conversations like as you got later in the night, not knowing if you were going to go?
Well, I was gonna call them today. Actually, they called me a couple of days prior to the draft and was just like, soak all this in, enjoy it with your family and friends, and we'll kind of talk after. But those are two guys that have been huge parts of my life. People I could turn to, kind of like Joe, for some inspiration, some advice as well. So I'll give those guys a call later. But those are definitely two people that I trust and two people that have been in my corner since all this started, and I'm grateful to have that relationship with them.